Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome back. We're going to continue the discussion on controlling the color in lights and shadows. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to develop this study here. We're going to continue where we left off in the previous lesson. We talked about adjusting the color based on what you want to accomplish. So, make sure to review that. Here, I'm just going to take the color interpretation as is. So this is the interpretation of the reference or the model as I'm going to try to match the color as I see it. And in the previous lesson, we analyzed the light. So this is a direct sunlight, and we determined that the sunlight is mid-afternoon. So it's somewhere between high noon, where the sun is directly above us, and sunset, 2, 3, something like that, which means that the sunlight will be warmer than normal. So let's continue here.
And before we begin, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my free Insiders Club. Insiders Club members get first access to these weekly live streams, and you also get access to other live events, and you get discounts on courses and programs, along with access to free lessons and other free content available only to subscribers. So all you have to do is go to www.drawwithchris.com, and there you can enter your email and you'll be good to go.
So what I'm going to do is block in his hat. I'd like to get some kind of blue there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the brown that we have, and I'm just going to take it at the same value, and I'm just going to put in a blue, and I'm going to use a color dynamic here, which will give me a little bit of variation as I go, just for some color and flavor. A little 2% there. So it's kind of closer to natural paint, closer to real life. This is how real color works. Anyway, real color has natural variation. So that's the kind of the blue. Let's play with the temperature a little bit. Actually, that looks pretty good. In the photo, he has a bit of a blue-green hat. I kind of like that. Should we make it a bit more gray, a bit more saturated? No, a bit more gray. I like the gray. Lighter hat, a little bit lighter hat looks good. Darker hat looks good too, actually. So we're about there, a little bit lighter. So that is the hat color I settled on. And I'm going to put it in my palette just so I have it. There's a bunch of different versions of it. So let's see, let's just pick this one. And I'm going to put it in my palette now. So now what I'd like to do when I need a blue, I have a blue. So I'm going to put this blue in other places so that, of course, it'll harmonize color-wise. So this is just local color of the hat. Now I'm going to put the shadow of the hat, which of course needs to be darker. And I'm not sold on this color yet. Blue green. Let's see. So I have a decision to make. Either make the shadow color a bit more green or a bit more purple, right? Blue can go either way. Which way do you go? Well, what do we have in the photo? It's a little bit grayer for sure. And my guess is it's blue green plus a bit of the bouncy warmth from his face. So that means purple. His face is quite red. The light is a bit orangey, which means this will hmm, shift towards purple because the light has more yellow. That's my thought process. I could totally be wrong. At the end of the day, it's really what looks good. And right now, what I have looks pretty good. As you can see, I've shifted it more towards purple. So I'm just going to leave it there. We can adjust it later as we move on. So just going to drop that in, and there you go. Make a decision. It looks okay, and then we can keep going. Okay, let me block in the lights, which we've already decided. So now this is more of a value thing. The color decision making already happened in previous video, so just making sure the value kind of works now. I don't know if you can see it on camera there. You can see the color dynamic, Photoshop color dynamic taking effect here. Very interesting effects, which I like. You know, they're a bit chaotic, so it takes some skill to control. And his hair quite light actually. As you can see, I'm trying to use a very blocky kind of approach right now. To rigid with the drawing, paying attention to value at the moment since the color feels already at a pretty good place. I almost put too much light now as I think about it. It's quite bright now. I'm looking at my work. I have to zoom out here because it's looking very bright right now. Hold on. Shirt should be cool as well. No, that's wrong. Okay, I'm going to zoom out because I need to see what's going on here. Okay, just evaluating what I have. He's way too bright. I was right. Let's darken that up. Bright, luckily it's on a layer, so I could do something like this and just go a bit darker and a bit cooler as we go towards the light. There we go. There we go. That's looking nice. I think True color dynamics is on. And then also go a little bit more red as we go to some areas. There you go. That's looking nice right there. Some areas just a bit more red than others. Okay, I feel pretty good about that. So that's a nice little light pass. Because the dark is dark. Well, let's do that now. Well, let's put the bright highlight first, and then we'll look at the darkest dark. Bright is bright, which I have established already. Nose, that's where I want it to be. His ear, and it feels like the light is coming from the left, and that he has wet skin. His skin feels a little wet. Highlight, darkest dark. Let me drop that in, which is his collar. Maybe that's a little too dark. I have to zoom out and evaluate my work here. Shadow is quite dark. Too dark. Let's see here. Use in the little corner of his eye. Of course, under his nose, corners of his mouth. These values are going to change slightly. I just want to see them out here. Okay, and let's see them. We're a little too dark, a little too blue. Now I think they feel pretty good right there. So that's my darkest dark. I'm going to put that on my palette here. Look. Okay, zoomed out. It reads pretty well. Obviously, there's some gradations that need to happen at his hat, under his hat. The shadow on his face now feels a little bright compared to the dark accent. So some gradations need to happen there. So we can do that now. And the hat as well looks very flat. Needs a gradation. Needs a front plane. Very easy to do. But overall, color-wise, we're in a good place. I think I'd like to continue to do one more pass of value and gradation, and then we'll reevaluate the color and then go to a finish. Luckily, I have layers, so it's going to work quite nicely. So I could do gradation in so many ways, but I'm going to choose to do it with brush here, just for some fun. Gradation on his face. Zoom out here. I know it looks small on camera, but this helps me to get the values right. So already it's feeling a lot better. I'm just putting gradations of cool, little accent areas. Gradations, cool gray. These areas, like his nose, mustache, under the hat a little bit. Bounce light on the cheek. And then a bit of a warmer gradation. In fact, I can color pick a color in my palette, and let's see what that looks like on his neck. Oh, that's too bright. You see how bright that looked? see what that. Okay, that's a little too bright now. Chin there, side of his face. So you see how interesting. Lighten that up. You see how much more interesting the shadow color looks now? Lighten that up. Splash some red in places. Actually, his ear could use some of this red too, which I will do as well. His nose as well. Under his, oops, you see that's a little too strong, but the idea is there. Just getting a note of color. See, this needs to go in his ear. And maybe a little bit down here. Let's play with that. A bit darker, a little bit less saturated, and a little bit more warm. That's perfect. Beautiful right there. That exact color needs to go in his ear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these two. I'll go back to my dark layer. And now I have some nice dark colors I can play with and put it in his ear. His ear needs to go really red and then this like dark hat color. Shadow of his hat, it's perfect. Little bit under his nose now, near his mouth. This little zone right here, that should be dark. Blocking in the shape. Shape can be adjusted. And then adjusting the color a little bit. Boom. Perfect. Look at that. That looks so pretty. And then while I'm here, I'm going to do the hat. So this is shadow grad. I'm going to do gradation on the hat now, or the front plane at least. Let's do that. Let's take this hat color and I'm just going to make a slightly darker version of it, and then we'll play with it. So obviously it's the wrong temperature. You see how purple blue it is? It's purple blue, red blue. It needs to be a green blue, and it's just wrong, 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 wrong right now. Wrong, 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 wrong. Not what we need at all, and it's too dark. Just that. Way too dark, number one. Way too purple, number two. Oh, that's way too saturated. That looks better. Way too saturated. Okay, that looks better. That looks better. Nice. And I'm gonna take that same color and just see if I can go a little bit bluer and darker. There's a gradation, so I need something in between. Oops. And then I'm gonna make it on its own layer so that I can see it. And again, it's way too purple, as you can see. I need a little spot of stuff right here. There should be texture. A little bit of texture there. Purple. A little bit too bright. There you go. There you go. And then one more pass. Let's do one more pass there. And then we'll see what it looks like here. Turn on color dynamics. See what it looks like. This could totally be an awful color, but we'll see. Okay, it's too dark, obviously. Color is okay, temperature wise, it's okay. That's a little too bright, dark. Temperature wise, it's okay. I had it. There it is. That's it. That's my gradation. There it is. Gradation, obviously, it's sloppy, but the blocking is there. My values are pretty good. I feel okay about them. Let me do one more pass with this hat while I'm here, while I'm zoomed out. What I'd like to do is just get this right, because it's much easier to do this scale than when I zoom in. And normally I do work this small. Well, I do work zoomed out most of the time. I only zoom in to make videos for teaching, but I do prefer to work zoomed out. It's much easier to make decisions when you can see the whole thing. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's go back inside. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this block in. I got all of the light and color shapes that I need. The color of the light is established. The color of the shadow is established. Reading well, they're harmonizing. The values are good, obviously. And we have nice color variation, good, nice gradations. So we have a lot of things working. What I'd like to do is just do one more pass of cool and gradation. Right now, it's a little too warmy monochrome for my taste. What I basically gonna do is put some of this blue on the skin and on his shirt. His shirt is way too orange, it's bugging the heck out of me. And then I'll do another splash of some reds in the light, maybe, just to reinforce some color and the color of the light. And the thing about digital is that the order matters, but matters less in digital because you have layers and you could do unlimited edits and things like that. Because I do need to make the lights more yellow, and I do need to make some of the halftones more blue, more cool. Both of those I could do at the end. I could do them with adjustment layers, Photoshop effects basically, or I could try to brush them in by hand as if I was working more traditionally. So I think I will do that because that's a bit more fun. It's a bit more risky, but let's do that now. So I'm going to put in some cools and some warms basically. And just do a couple color adjustments before I go to the finish. Because obviously it's ready for the quote unquote finish. Basically means I'm going to render. So we have a face. Right now we just have a big block in. Let's do the color first. Oh, okay. And I'm going to I can use some fancy brushes that will add some texture. I don't know if that's a good idea, but can try anyway. So I'm going to add some cools. So basically, going to take a little bit of the blue from the hat and just put it on his skin because okay, so that's obviously too dark. That's not going to work. It's just too much red, orange. It's orange. It's like a brick orange red, which is what we need, but too much of it. So let's lighten that up. Let's warm that up. And there's just too much of it now, so let's move it back. A different eraser here. To be honest, I know what I want the color to look like, but now I'm using just random Photoshop brushes. The marks may look strange, so I don't have complete control over what the marks may look like. I just know what the color needs to look like. So in terms of technique and mark, it may look a little strange, but what I have right here feels okay. Let me put some of this back on his shirt. His shirt is just way there. Oh, that looks much better. Shirt is just way too brown for my taste. I'm nervous when I see this much brown. brown everywhere, which is fine, but on his shirt. Now his shirt's temperature wise is looking weird. The shadow of his shirt. Okay, it does still look a little strange. Okay, pinks. Let's put some pinks. I'm just gonna color pick that little sharp little pink I have, and it's just let's put it on here. Needs to be brighter, more saturated, a bit more pink. It's gonna splash some pinks everywhere. Color dynamics is turned on. Just too flat color wise, which I don't like. A bit more flavor, gradation, and just like randomness. That's kind of what I'm doing here. Adding a bit of chaos and randomness, and warmth and deity. So it makes color paintings cooler than photographs, in my opinion. The artist can do weird things like this if he wants. You can just splish splash stuff. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm zoom in again. Okay, so got some cool splish splash. We got some red splish splash. Now we're ready for the render. We got some nice colors in my palette. I can go ahead and color pick, put them on my palette, colors in my painting, so I can stay harmonious. And then just go to render, go to town, pretty much. We are ready for that stage. We are ready for the rendering stage, but that's for another day. That's just refinement, edge refinement. We got to draw the eye, make the eye look like an eye, put the eye detail, make the hair look like hair, make the mustache look like a mustache, make the nose look like a nose, the ear, just refine, 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 right? We have a nice block in. So we'll save that for another day. But color wise, everything is working. Let's just do a quick review of where we were and where we ended up. Okay, so side by side, this is where we started. You can see we just basically added a bit more color, a lot more color, actually, more variety, and we established the lights. Comparing them side by side, the pink looks very strong now. But you can see that the forms are reading better because of the value. The highlight is there, both for form and to clearly establish the color of the light. And you can clearly see that we have a nice warmish highlight and a coolish-ish, grayish shadow. So that is pretty much the core of what we need to do. And then the halftones are somewhere in between. The lighter halftones are warmer, the darker halftones are cooler. You see, as you go along the face, you see warm, cool, 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 cool. You see? Cooler, 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 cool. So that is how you can control color based on understanding the light. And yeah, obviously the next thing would just be to draw. That's what needs to happen. The drawing needs to be tightened up, but of course when you're painting, you simultaneously draw and control color. But that's where we are. In terms of a block in, we are pretty much done with all the colors and the values that we need, and everything is working, it's harmonizing, and it does feel, although not perfect, it does feel like the color of the original source, of the original scene, which was what we were after from the beginning.